Hello and welcome or welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we'll be reviewing the Lord of the Rings fountain pen by Ferris Wheel Press. I'm going to show you the box and the packaging and we will test it out. So this is the box that it comes in. It's very pretty. And it says it's the Bijou fountain pen and ink set. Down here it's the Ringbearer, that's the pen. So this is the green one. There were 3 pens, this green one, a silver one that I really liked as well, and then also a very pretty red one. And each one was different. So I think the silver was the Dawning Silver, Dawning Silver. That was supposed to be the Gandalf pen. And the red one, I think it was a Mordor pen. I can't remember the name of the, might have been Embers of Mordor or something like that, I can't remember. Alright, on the side here, it says, I will take the ring to Mordor, though I do not know the way. That's what it says there. It's a quote from Frodo. And on this side it shows you what you get. It's the pen with the converter and the 2 different nibs. And you get a medium nib, I think, and the other one is a calligraphy nib. And you're supposed to use it with the Elven script book, which I also got. And maybe we can review that at some point. This is Verdant Voyage. That's the color of the ink that's inside here. And let's see here. This just talks about what the ink looks like. It's very pretty, gold embossed. Alright, this is what the top looks like. And then the bottom just has boring information. Alright, so let's go ahead and open this. And this is a pretty heavy box because not only does it have the pen, but these pens came with the bottle of ink. I'm going to see if I can open this without damaging it. Okay, good. Alright. Gonna slide this out. I don't know, this must be this way around. Oh, sorry, just a moment. Here we go. Alright, so this is how it is set up in the box. You got the pen, the extra nib, and bottle of ink here. So, good and bad things. The first thing is that you get a full-size bottle of ink, which is fantastic. The only downside is you don't get the pretty box with the pretty packaging. So you would have to store it in this box or leave it out on display or find a different box to put it in. But this is a very pretty box, so I probably will be keeping this box anyway, so it doesn't make a difference to me really. Yeah, this comes out completely. Something else that's kind of cool is even though I took this pen insert out, the back of the box is, you know, on the inside, on the bottom is decorated just like the outside. So they didn't go cheap on the packaging, which is something they're known for, is their beautiful packaging. And this whole thing comes out. So you've got this beautiful box, so you could use this as like a little tray to hold your pens, or maybe you could line up your ink bottles in it or something, I don't know. But it's cute. So I'll set that aside as well. Find a good place to put this. Alright. Maybe I should, no, that's fine. Alright, let's take out this ink. I have not tried this pen before. And also this is the first time, oops, I realize this is the first time I am showing you how to fill a pen, or how I'm going to fill this pen. And so yeah, if you have a fountain pen and you're new to fountain pens, or you want to try them out or whatever, this might be a good video to kind of get the idea of what to do. Most fountain pens, well, I was going to say most fountain pens fill a same way or a similar way, but that's not necessarily true. Most of the cheap ones that I own all fill the same way. There's a converter in them like this one has, and you can either fill the converter and put the pen together, which is what I usually do because it's less messy, or you put the converter in and you dip the pen in the ink and then you twist the converter to fill the pen with the ink. That's more messy. So just however you prefer to do it. But this pen is beautiful. It's a little bit shimmery, just a little bit. And it's got this beautiful nib here. And the nib has the ring engraved on it. So the reason I wanted this pen, I liked all the pens. This one in particular, because this was supposed to be the Frodo pen, and it has the engraving you'll see on this when I take it out here. Okay. On here, you can see the engraving of, oops, if I can get it to focus, come on. There we go. It has the leaf on there from the clasp that held on their cloaks. It has the ring on it engraved right there. And I just felt like this design, I like this design better. It has like the Elven script on there and stuff, so I just like this design better. If they had this design on the silver pen, I might have got that one instead. That was like another close second. But I do like the green. I don't think I have a green pen yet. Not a nice one. This is my first nice pen. This is my very first, like, what you would call like a fancy pen. I don't know anything about fancy or expensive pens because I don't own any. This is the closest thing I have to that. Yeah, so this is the converter. So I'm just gonna, like, because I'm a beginner to fountain pens, I'm gonna assume that people watching, there might be beginners as well that want to know what the heck's going on. Why am I taking this apart? So this is the converter. It just comes off, and there's a little spring in there. It's great because you can, when you have the ink in there, when you shake it, it can mix up the ink for things like the shimmer inks, like this one. That's really good. And then this converter, you twist it. Oops. If I can get it to, there it goes. Okay. So it's got like a little plunger in there. So as you twist it, the plunger goes up and down. And that's one of the ways you can fill this with ink. You put this on the nib right here, you stick it in the bottle of ink, and then when you twist it, it's going to pull the plunger up and it's going to pull up ink with it. So that's one way. The other way is I actually will pull this plunger back all the way. I use an eyedropper to fill this, put it back together, and then you can turn this to push some of the ink up through here a little bit, and then it'll start writing. And that's how I usually do it, because otherwise when you dip this in the bottle of ink, you can get ink everywhere, and I can't usually see what I'm doing when the pen is in the ink, and just, yeah, that's how I prefer. It's just a preference. There's not a right or wrong way, like either way is fine. Once you have the ink in there, you can put this back together. There's another thing too about this one. It has two different nibs. So it has this one on here, which is, I believe this is a medium, and this is the calligraphy nib. You can see it's got a bent tip. Let me see if I close something dark. You see better, yeah. See how it kind of bends up? Most of my fountain pens have a bent nib. I don't know if this is the same kind of bent nib as the other ones. Let me see if I have one here. Let me see if this, yeah. So this is a different pen, but see how it also has that bent tip? And this is a really inexpensive pen I got off of Amazon for like $15. So all my fountain pens are inexpensive pens except this one. So I think the way you get this nib off, from what I could see, it looks like you just unscrew it and then screw in the new one. Oh, you know what? I bet it's attached to that converter. See, I've never done this before, so you'll have to bear with me. Yep, that's what it was. So that's the medium nib, and then this is the calligraphy nib, or what they're calling a calligraphy nib. I don't know what that means. What is a calligraphy nib? I don't know. I'm too new to this. I don't really know what I'm doing here, other than it just has that bent tip. So anyways, I want to try this out because all my pens except for I think one have either a bent nib or a medium nib. So I want to compare this to my other bent nibs. So I'm going to save this someplace safe. Hopefully this is safe. We'll put it in here so that later on when I want to switch it out, I can easily switch it out. I'm hoping that'll make it easier to clean as well. I don't know. All right, so here's the ink that it comes with. And what we'll do is we'll do some tests just like I normally do on the 3 different types of paper with this ink. I don't know if it has any other properties other than shimmer, but we'll find out. So copy paper. HP 32, which is like more fancy copy paper, and then Tomo River. And let's see, let's move this out of the way, and this. All right. So, let me get an eyedropper too. These are just little tiny eyedroppers. Make sure the plunger is all the way back on this. Okay. So hopefully, if you are watching this and this is not how you fill your pens, please don't freak out about it. This is just what I do because I'm so messy that I don't know if it's just a vision problem where I can't see what I'm doing in the bottle, or you know, or what it is, or if this is just preference, but you know, this is how I do it. So I just put some in the dropper like that. The converter has a hole there so it can connect to the pen. So I just stick it in there, and then we'll just fill it with ink. And one of these little droppers is usually plenty, and I put the rest of it back in the jar. Okay, I set that aside. I'm going to lay that down. Now these bottles have these wonderful rubber stoppers to prevent the ink from drying out. And then this cap holds that down. It's got the ring on there. And then I think I showed you already the Dawning Silver, and instead of the ring it had Gandalf's horse. So the bottles have their own different symbols, which is nice. Okay, let's set that aside. And then the next thing I do is I stick this is the nib here. I stick the converter back in. There it is. Okay. Put that together. And then the next thing I do, because the nib is dry, so nothing's going to come out when you write with it. So what I do is I just gently turn, one second, this is coming loose. Gently turn the plunger, and I can see the ink going up. And then, let me see here. Now if this is, okay, now you can see the ink starting to come up just right there. That's usually as far as I go. And then put the body of the pen back on. And then this cap here, it's got the ring. Let me see if I can get it to focus. It's got the ring there with the engraving. You can, for some pens, you can just stick the cap on the back. It's called posting. With this, I'm not going to do that because from what I understand, it can damage the lacquer on the pen. So you're meant to write without the cap sitting on the back. So we'll see how that feels. Usually I like the way the pens feel, like the weight of the pen when it has the cap on the back. But I'm going to try without. And this pen is so smooth, it's just sliding right off my pen rest. So I guess we can move that aside. All right. We're going to try this on plain copy paper first. Now, me doing it how I showed you, where I use the dropper to fill the converter and then I turn the little plunger up. If that's going to actually damage my pen, if somebody knows more about pens and wants to let me know, then go ahead and let me know. But from what I've experienced so far with all my pens, it seems to be the easiest, and I haven't had any problems yet. Okay, so far this is really pretty. It's a really pretty green. And it should have some gold shimmer. Ardent Voyage. This is copy paper. And the nice thing is, since this is a fountain pen, it's not my glass pen. I don't have to wash it out in between each, you know, because it's a pen, obviously. And yeah, so there is some little bit of shimmer to that. I don't think the camera's going to pick that up though. It's a very pretty green. It actually has a very like foresty, kind of like Forest in the Sunshine type look. I'm going to set that aside to dry. I don't, actually it's already dry, it's fine. But I'm going to set it aside and we're going to try the HP32. Ferris Wheel Press does still have these pens on their website. They keep going out of stock and then they put it in stock again and take, you know, then it sells out and then they put it back. So they must be struggling to keep up with the demand, is my guess. And I really wanted these pens. I still want that silver one, and I don't think I have a red pen, so it'd be awesome to get the red one in the future. This is HP32. We'll see if there's any. There's a little bit of shading, which is good because I like the shading. And this nib does feel just like my other bent tips, which I really like, so I'm glad. And there is some sparkle, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. We'll put the light on it later so we can take a look at it. These pens are really expensive, at least to me. I know that there are people out there who spend hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars on a pen, and this is not expensive like those pens. I also don't know, since I don't know anything about expensive pens, I don't know what the quality of this pen is compared to those. And I fully understand that much of the cost of this pen probably has something to do with it being a licensed product, and you know, they put the Lord of the Rings label on it and therefore they can sell it for more. I'm aware that is probably much of it. Don't care because I still like the pen, but and I would have bought it even if it was a crappy pen probably. But the reason I am saying all this is because you can get the pen at a massive discount. So I think, actually I'm not going to even say what the price of the pen is, because whenever you see this video, the price might be different. So, but there's a link below the video in my description somewhere for Ferris Wheel Press, like a referral link. And if you haven't purchased from them before, you can use that link, and that will give you a little bit of a discount on your next order. They give you, I think they give it to you as like points or something, like a gift card or something. Once you make an order from them, you can start adding points each day by doing their spin. They have like a spin the wheel thing, and it gives you points, and those add up. So if you're patient, you can save up points until you can get a $200 gift card, and then you can use that to buy one of the pens. So that's how I did it, because there's no way I could afford to just buy this pen. So I just saved up until I had enough points to get a gift card, and I did it that way. Please excuse my terrible handwriting as always. Okay, so there is some shading in the writing itself, but it looks like right here, I don't see a whole lot of shading in the swatch. But when I write with it, yeah, so there does seem to be shade. This ink behaves a little more different than I would expect. Let me just see here. I could show you up close. So there is a very subtle shimmer. It's not as overpowering as it is in some of the other inks, where some of them, there's so much shimmer you can barely see the ink, and then this one is way less than that. So if you are not a huge fan of shimmer inks, this one's not nearly as bad as some of the others. But yeah, there's definitely shading. You can see here and on the lower parts of there on the writing. But up in here, it doesn't really show up that much, so that's kind of interesting. I wonder if that has to do with the nib. And I wonder if we were to test this with the glass dip pen, if it would look different. We can go ahead and do that real quick. So just real fast overview how this is with just the pen instead of the dip pen. Very little shading. There is some in the writing on this for the copy paper. HP32, you're starting to see more of the shading in the writing, so this paper would be totally fine. But then on the Tomo River, I think it's a little bit even more dramatic just by, you know, compared to the other two papers. So this isn't like super duper high shading, I don't think, but it looks great. I think it's very, very pretty. As far as how this pen feels when you write with it, it's kind of, I feel like there should be more weight back here. And just to give you a comparison, so these are the cheap pens that I buy. I think I put a link to them on for Amazon as an Amazon link. It is an affiliate link, so I'm like required to tell you that if you purchase something from that link, then I get like a kickback. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It just helps me out, but I'm required to let you know whether or not use it. But see how these are, they're like made for posting. It has, and when I write with this is really heavy back here, so the writing this is how it normally feels when I write with these pens. So this pen feels a little bit lighter because it doesn't have that weight on the back. And that's not a bad thing, but it's an adjustment I would have to make if I started using this pen every day. You would get used to it, I'm sure. But if you're used to a pen being like longer than this, and the way it rests on your hand, you're not feeling that weight back there. For some people that might bother them. It depends on what you're used to. But if you prefer a lighter pen, or if what I just described, if that wouldn't bother you, this is totally fine. I don't have any problems with it at all. It seems to write really smooth. I don't have really any complaints at all. It was very easy to get the ink going, even easier than those cheap pens. So, and of course it's beautiful and very, very pretty. The only thing I wonder, if you were to get a pen like this, would you dare take it out of the house and write with it anywhere? Or would you only use it at home because you're afraid of losing it? I'm almost afraid I would lose this if I used it anywhere. I think if I had the Gandalf pen though, I would take it with me and use it, and I would risk it. Only because I like the silver color of the pen, and I would want to use that like as a daily pen. I think it'd be fun, but I would be sad if I lost it. But this one is really special, and I'll probably still use it at home, but I'm afraid to take it out with me. I don't want to lose this one. So anyway, but I'm just always curious about that. There are some things that I've purchased before that were nice, and I thought, well, gee, it's like almost too nice to use. It's like almost, well, why did I buy it? Because, now I'm not going to take it out and use it. Which for some people that would defeat the purpose. I'm just trying to see if I can get that shading. That's very interesting. Not what I thought at all, but not in a bad way. Really pretty. Very unique green color as well. So what I'm going to do before I dry this pen out, let me put the cap back on. This cap screws on. One nice thing about the screw-on caps is that you know for sure it's closed. And I wonder if it helps the ink not dry out as quickly. But look at that, with the really pretty engraving on the ring that goes around. That's why I felt like this one made the most, this color, everything made the most sense. Because on the red pen, why would you want to give Sauron the ring? And then on the silver pen, Gandalf purposefully avoided taking the ring because of the whole reason that anybody in that book shouldn't have had the ring. So it was kind of weird to me that they put the ring on his pen, but I mean, it still was cool. All right, so let's put that there. And then I want to compare it to this. So these pens, the caps just snap on, but there's a very audible snap sound, so you know that it's on there. And they're not loose at all. This is not coming off. So as far as, the ink drying or whatever, I haven't really had an issue, unless I forget that I filled the pen and it sits there for weeks and weeks, and then I come back to it and the ink in the nib is a little bit dry. Then I have to just rinse it out and it starts working again. I'm gonna be careful with this and use up the ink so that doesn't happen, and clean it out. Maybe later on we could try the medium nib. I really wanted to try that calligraphy nib though, because it sounded really cool. And now that this is drying, like on there, the shimmer is a little more obvious. I think the light is catching it there. Really pretty. And on these little spots up top. It's really nice. It's like, I think it's meant to be the sun coming through the trees or something. It's very, very pretty. I do want to test it with the glass dip pen though. Hopefully you guys will appreciate seeing that. Let's see here. So I got my little tester, and I did something with the glass pen. Oh, I put it away. Can't find it because I put it away. Alright, so there's that. And what we'll do is, why don't we go ahead and make a card for it. So I guess this is a 2-in-1. We get to test the pen and we get to test the ink. So you let me know if you like the Lord of the Rings and if you plan to get one of these pens, or... Yeah, okay, that looks good. You can see the gold shimmer on the bottom there. Okay, so this, we're going to do this first so that it has time to dry. I wasn't sure if we were going to do a full ink test or not, so that was my fault. I should have done this earlier. Alright. Oops. Almost dropped it. Alright. Yeah, this is a beautiful green. Very foresty. There we go. And I did not bring any water because I wasn't planning on this, so I'm just going to clean this off real fast off to the side. I have a rag over there that I keep for the things, for the to dry the pens off in between. Okay, so let's write the name on here. Okay, and this was Lord of the Rings. So it's the Lord of the Rings set. Okay. And then I'm going to put this cap on and we'll shake it in between each swatch. And then I'm also going to set this aside carefully so that this can dry. This is how it looks so far. Okay. Alright, so we'll use the same paper samples because it's going to be the same color. Alright, so this is the plain copy paper. As I get ink everywhere. I guess that's half the fun, isn't it? Alright. New ink. And I just want to see if any of the shading will come out, or if we can see any difference between this pen and the fountain pen. I believe the glass pen is going to lay down a heavier layer of ink, or a heavier stream of ink than the pen does. That's my guess. This is a glass pen. And then up here, whoops, fountain pen. Just in case I forget. Alright, so far this is looking pretty good. The color is pretty close. It does look like maybe a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of shading with the glass pen, but that's pretty much what we got up there. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll let that dry. That's the copy paper. This is the HP 32. And I gotta shake it again. I'm gonna also, because I'm splashing ink on everything, I'm going to wipe this. There we go. There we go, that's better. Didn't get ink all over the place that time. All right. This HP 32 paper is really smooth for a copy paper, so if you've never used it before, you might get yourself some. It really is nice to write on when you don't want to waste expensive paper if you're just writing grocery lists or something. Alright, and this is the glass pen. Let's try a couple different things here and see if we can get see any difference. It's a little bit of shading. I mean, it looks great so far. Alright, let's put this back on and we'll shake it again, get those shimmers to disperse nicely. I need some kind of automatic stir to put in the bottom of these jars so that it mixes continually. Alright. Also on this fountain pen part on the top here, where there was shading, it deposited more of that gold shimmer as well, which looks really cool. So this is probably a really good paper to use with that fountain pen. Oops, forgot this. This is a glass pen. And if you've purchased the Lord of the Rings pens, let me know what your experience has been with them. I'm kind of curious to see how well they hold up and, you know, what fun things you've discovered using them. Okay. Alright, we'll give that some time to dry. Oh, yeah, let's put the stopper on that first. And clean up the drips. Clean off the pen. I'm gonna have to wash this off later, but that's okay. Alright, oops. Get that cleaned out. So yeah, this is my only issue is what do I do with this bottle now? I don't have a box to store it in, so I'll have to think of something. I'll probably actually keep it in that Lord of the Rings box. It just makes the box bottom or top heavy depending on where you put the ink, so you have to make sure that the box is supported properly so it doesn't tip itself over. Okay. That's almost dry. There is definitely shading on this. Okay, so even on here, on these swatches, there's definitely shading coming through. It just doesn't show up as well with the fountain pen, and that's totally fine because I think, like I said, when you write with that pen, the shading is more noticeable than on the swatches, which is kind of interesting because it's not always, it's usually the other way around. But I guess the pen controls the flow of the ink a little bit better. Maybe that's why. Alright, so here is the copy paper, first of all. Really nice shimmer. A little bit of shading in the writing. And let's get that light that I used. See, hopefully the light will give us a little bit. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, so first of all, copy paper. So there's definitely a shimmer you can see there. That's with the pen. This is with the glass dip. So the shimmer comes through just fine, no problems there. That paper is completely fine to use if you're just going for the shimmer look. This is the HP 32, and again the shimmers look really good. No problems again. There is a little bit of shading, but it's not super dramatic. And then this is the Tomo River paper. Lots of shimmer, just like always, very pretty. That's coming out. And this top part is the fountain pen. And see on these T's on the ends where there's shading is also where the shimmers were deposited, which is really neat looking. And this is with the glass pen. And you can see on here, I'll turn the light off so you can see in a second, but there's a lot more shading on those swatches and lots of shimmer. There's that shimmer. So let me turn this off. And then now on these swatches here, you should be able to see that shimmer around the, shading around the edges. Really, really pretty. So I guess not knowing what their intentions were with the shading, there's definitely a little bit. Shading is probably my favorite feature in inks. because I like just like how it looks. And here is that swatch that we made. Real pretty shimmer. Very pretty green. I love the foresty green color. So I do like this ink a lot. This is beautiful. And I'm going to keep it in the pen for a bit and write with it and just kind of get used to the feel of the weight, the different weight of the pen, and just see how I like it over the next few weeks. And maybe we can do an update if you guys want to hear an update about that. But I would like to hear your opinions as far as what you think of the pen, the ink. If you've tried it, I want to know if you've used these pens before, which one you got, what colors you liked, why did you choose it. I'd love to hear all that from you guys. And of course, if there are any colors or pens or, well, maybe it depends. I can't go out and buy pens really, but the inks, the colors, the different types of inks and whatnot. If you have any suggestions on reviews, things you'd like to see, let me know. If I have those inks, we can definitely review them. And sometimes I can at least get samples of the others, so even if I don't have that ink, I may be able to get a hold of it because the ink's a lot cheaper than the pens. Yeah, so felt like there was more I wanted to add to this, but I guess I'm getting tired and forgetting. But yes, this was a fantastic pen, very beautiful. Waited a long time for this to arrive. They were sold out, and then they were selling the pens. I think everything was on back order, and so it took forever to arrive, but I was so happy when it came. This is my first fancy fountain pen, so I'm going to use it for a while and just see how I like it. I don't really intend to buy more fancy fountain pens just because I don't really, I guess I just don't see the point. I don't want to carry around something that's as easy to lose as a pen, but that costs thousands of dollars, you know, and what if it gets stolen? I mean, I don't know, that would just be stressful for me. So the cheap ones, at least with those, if I drop them or break them or lose them or they get stolen, it's like I'm out $15 instead of hundreds or thousands of dollars. So this is probably going to be it for me as far as fancy and expensive pens, unless you have some and you can explain to me why I would want an expensive pen, other than the fact that they look really cool, because some of them do look fantastic, and I have seen some beautiful expensive fountain pens and thought, oh wow, it'd be really cool to get that, it's so pretty, but I just can't justify spending money on something just because it's pretty. You know, there needs to be a reason, unless I get rich somehow, in which case then I wouldn't mind having a couple fancy pens. I guess I could afford to lose them, as they say, so it wouldn't be so bad. But yeah, if you do have some nicer fountain pens, let me know. What are your reasons for having a fancy fountain pen? Is, you know, do they write that much better? Are they easier to write with? Are they easier to hold? What are the benefits? Just because I don't have one, so I don't know, that doesn't mean that there isn't a reason to have one. I just don't know what it is because I don't own any. So yeah, let me know for sure. And if you have tried, again, if you've tried this pen, let me know what your thoughts on it were. I'd like to hear from you. And thank you guys so much for watching this video and hanging out till the end. I'd like to hear any thoughts from you guys, any requests, and I hope you guys all have a great day.